You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
As with most strategy-based games as well, or at least mostly strategy-based, if you have any questions on why I'm doing a certain thing, or how I do certain things, or how I handle certain things, feel free to ask in chat. I will try to answer them as best I can. I am by no means a master at this game, but I do have a lot of hours in it. It is my highest hour game in Steam. So, if you have a question, feel free to ask, and I will do my best.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The hamlet is just ahead. Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival. Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light? Leave nothing unchecked. There is much to be found in forgotten places. An ambush. Send these vermin a message. The rightful owner has returned, and their kind is no longer welcome. Destroyed. Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
For anybody who doesn't know, you do not open the chest in this beginning area. It is always trapped, and you will always end up injured or with a disease. And I ain't got time for that. Endgame, you always get your experience, which is your resolve, and then you have a chance to get positive and negative traits. Here we have Dipsomania, which is intense craving for alcohol, which, if I remember right, means for stress relief you will only go to the tavern. And then +2 speed if the torch is below 26. I don't do torchless or low torch runs, so it doesn't super benefit me. But if you do end up with torchlight, or low torchlight, he will at least be faster.
Welcome home, such as it is. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands,
you also have your goals.
They are yours now.
These are
and you are
just
bound
all of the
to them.
bosses and what you want to do in game.
In time, you will know the tragic
Also,
extent of my failings.
Videos and lore, so if you're ever super interested, you can always go back and rewatch, re-listen to lore that you've missed.
Most will end up here, covered in the poisoned earth,
Graveyard's pretty self-explanatory.
awaiting merciful oblivion.
Nomad Wagon is where you can buy trinkets and upgrade
Trinkets and charms, gathered
There's
from
also,
all the forgotten corners of the earth.
Trinkets specifically for the farmland, or, well, from the farmland DLC. And
Women
then, obviously,
and men,
Stagecoach,
soldiers
where you
and
look
outlaws,
for people.
fools and corpses. All will find their
It's
way
always
to
fun.
us now that the road is
And you
clear.
will eventually unlock more buildings. So for now, we're kind of just stuck
A
where we're
mecca
at.
of madness and morbidity. Your work begins.
We have no trinkets. So we have our Renauld, our Crusader here, who is a Warrior of Light, so more damage if the torch is high. God-fearing and Kleptomaniac he always starts with, if I recall. Kleptomaniac just means every time you come across loot, he has a chance to interact with it and steal it. And God-fearing means he'll only pray for stress relief. Our Dismas, or our Highwayman, obviously we know he has Dipsomania and Night Owl, but he also has Hard Noggin, which is stun resist. He has quick reflexes for 2 speed, and then known cheat, he's not allowed to gamble, which doesn't really matter because he'll only go to the bar anyway. So we kind of lucked out there. Our Vestal, which would be primarily our healing class, she has single target and group heals, which is why you typically want to take her along until you get the other type of healers unlocked. She's Hippocratic, so she gets more healing skill, and is a skilled gambler, which means while she is gambling, she has a higher chance to win, which can be kind of nice if you're sending them there for stress relief. Misses the spot, less crit. Doesn't matter a super lot with a Vestal, unless you're going to do DPS Vestal, though I do believe that also applies to heals, so that kind of sucks. And compulsive, she is also more likely to interact with things. And then we have our Plague Doctor, which Plague Doctor is waifu. I always run the same Plague Doctor every time I play. I adore this character. She is our Cove Scrounger, so she has a better chance of scouting when we get to the Cove, which we do not have unlocked yet. Night Blindness, so less damage if the torch is low. And Ruminator, so minus 10% stress heal received. That won't bother us a lot until we get into later levels. So we should be okay for now.
The cost of preparedness,
Take
measured now in gold,
8 food,
later
2 shovels.
in blood.
We shouldn't need antivenom actually for the ruins. You're going to deal with a lot of skeletons and brigands, which is going to be more bleeding. I have a pretty typical amount of stuff that I usually take, just from practice and knowing how to do it. We don't need shard dust yet, nor do we have the things to buy it, and we do not need the blood yet. That will not come into play until we have started the Crimson Court DLC, and we do not need it until then. So we'll go ahead and go into the ruins. And this expedition is also always laid out the exact same way, because this is supposed to be an introduction to a full party. So if I seem to kind of just have a predetermined way of going about it, that's why. Having been through the start of this game about 30 to 40 times
Packs
probably by
laden
now,
with loot
I'm used to
are
it.
often low on supplies.
Okay. It's not the greatest, but it'll do.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
This
For those who
expedition
have
at
been
least
watching me
promises
play Darkest
success.
Dungeon 2, you'll notice the one main thing that's different here, aside from the graphic style and general style, if your characters get moved around during a fight, you have to manually move them back into position. I forget to do this a lot. You can yell at me if you want.
A handsome
I will
reward
still forget.
for a
I
task
almost
well
always
performed.
forget. You will find rubble, which is why we bring shovels. You can get through rubble without shovels, it just takes health and torchlight. So it is preferable not to get to that point. If you want. Wow, the triple miss from Dismas there. Triple miss again from Dismas. Well done. Okay.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
And here you'll see we get a leper-specific trinket. We do not have the leper unlocked yet, but that will give him specifically plus damage if in position 1 and minus virtue chance, which when we get to that portion of stress, I will walk you guys through what virtues are and things like that. It's easier to explain when you're looking at a live example of it happening. And here you see the kleptomania triggering.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Which is kind of shitty of him, to be honest. It's pretty rude. We won't get too mad unless he does it again. Because usually he only procs on one here. Ooh. You got some bad accuracy.
The flesh is knit.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. The slow death, unforeseen, unforgiving.
So here we have an item that we can interact with. So when you pull that up, it gives you an option to use any of the items that have a question mark underneath them. So if I remember right, it's holy water. I might be incorrect. Okay. Use holy water, you get healed. And now the next time we run into a holy fountain, it will remember that, and it will show a little healing icon underneath, so you no longer, this is a newer update as far as updates go, you no longer have to remember what items you use for each thing, you just have to discover it the first time. So it's kind of nice that you don't have to constantly juggle remembering what items to use on what curios. I used to have just a little notepad that I wrote down what interacted with what. Ronaldo Dick. That was actually kind of rude. Usually he doesn't proc twice. I used to have a little notepad that I would keep to remember who interacts with what and what interacts with what. And that was my main way of knowing back before they made this change. So it is very much so a convenience change, but it's one that I am quite a big fan of, if I'm honest. This guy took what Freddy Krueger does a little too seriously.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
I'm doing my best.
Her death by inches.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
So now here we have a Vestal specific trinket, which we do have. It gives her a 10% plus virtue chance and minus max HP. Max HP isn't super important for her, especially this early when we have very low HP. Heirloom chest is always a key. You tell that little lock on the front, and then you just get more
Waiting
treasure.
to be spent.
Either way, you typically get treasure when you open those. Just a key gives you more, or more valuable stuff. There can also be traps in the hallways. Sometimes you scout them, sometimes you don't. This kind of depends on what kind of day characters are having.
Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
So here we have a hunger proc. That is why we brought food. Anytime you have a hunger proc, as long as you have one food for each person, you can do that, and it will not cause any issue. If you do not have food when a hunger proc hits, it causes damage and stress. We're going to continue adventuring here because I know there is treasure down in this room just from playing. There is always treasure in this room. So if you're like me,
Even the cold
always
stone
go down
seems
here,
bent
try to
on
get this
preventing
extra treasure.
passage.
Never hurts. I am also a treasure fiend in this game. I typically will risk my entire party for a little bit of treasure, because you can't really do much if you don't have it later in the game. So I would rather have a damaged party that I have to heal, but also have more money to fix them, than leave the dungeon, have everybody healthy, and not get the reward. Plus, this game rewards you quite well if you take risks, I've found. It can also penalize you very much, so if you go that route, but generally speaking, it's nice. Semi-close to
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
So we might get to some of those.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Nice. Nice.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Alright. So there we go. And now we head back and we enjoy our spoils. There'll always be the treasure, and then there will always be your heirlooms. We have busts, portraits, deeds, and crests. And then for loot, obviously any items that you don't use, you get a small bit of money back for. And then you have your just gold and different types of gems, and you almost always will get gold, some type of heirloom, and a trinket from doing quests. So we've got Dud Hitter, which is fine. She's not going to be doing a lot of damage. This one, though, Mankind Hater's good. We're going to want to get rid of the yips as soon as we can, because minus accuracy on any character that you're expecting to do damage is not good. So we will want to get rid of that.
The tents are pitched,
I don't do
banners
the Butcher
fly,
Circus.
and the
It is a
corpse
free
wagons
DLC that
stand
comes
at the
with
ready.
game. I just am not
The
interested
circus
in
has
PvP
come
in
to
this game.
town.
It is not my jam.
Fresh kegs, cards, and curtained rooms promise solace to the weary and broken
So
alike.
here we can get some more characters.
The cobwebs have been dusted, the pews set
straight.
straight. The Abbey calls to the faithful.
So here you can see the different prices, and I am just going to send her to the bar. She'll be fine. Remove all your trinkets. If you do have a character that gets into stress relief and goes to, like, say, the bar or gambling, sometimes they will go AWOL for a week or two, they will take that trinket with them. So if you do have any characters that you need to do stress relief on, remove their trinkets and whatnot first. It is just the only way to guarantee that you're not going to then lose that item if that character is AWOL the next week. So let's see what we got. The farmstead is open. We are not going to go there yet because we are not ready. So we have 4 ruins quests. We can do a 90% of rooms for short, another 90% of rooms for short, or we can do a medium room battle or another medium room battle. Let's see who we have. We can take Renaud. We can take... We'll take the Arbalest. She can be pretty fun. We'll take Man-at-Arms as well. Oh no, we'll take Dismas. We want to get Dismas leveled up, and then we will take our healer. We have this for a common, which increases stun skill chance but reduces speed. I'm not super worried about that at the moment. Give Vestal back her trinket, and then that's all we've got. That's all she wrote. So let's do... It's a Hellion trinket. This is Man-at-Arms. dodge is good, so that's a potential. That's for Arbalest for healing, and this is for the leper. That is also a pretty good one. So let's check their sleep skills and make sure somebody has one to make us safe at night. Okay. Prevents nighttime ambush, so we do have that. So we'll go ahead and do a longer one. Obviously, longer dungeon means you're going to want to bring them more provisions. So we're going to do that. And we will go. I don't think we get another region for a little bit, so we're going to be seeing a good bit of the ruins for a while. I typically don't do the farmstead till fairly late game because the farmstead is
Pace out
difficult.
the halls of your lineage once familiar, now foreign.
Cool. So here we scouted a secret room, which means we're going to head that way right away. That is her compulsive
A handsome
key, where she
reward
has to touch stuff.
for a task well performed.
Thankfully, it wasn't a shambler altar, it was just torches. Now what's great about the secret room as well is it does count towards the 90%. Now when you come into a secret room, you will want to use a key on the chest. You will get more items
Packs
that way.
laden with loot are often low on supplies.
So here we got two puzzling, I can never say these, trapezohedrons, which are worth quite a bit of gold each. You always want to grab those when you can. And we got Dismas's Head, which is a plus damage, minus HP, plus stress trinket. I am an awful person. I give Dismas's Head to Dismas. But enough about how I'm awful. So if we need to do 90% of rooms, I should be able to skip these two and just go back here, especially since the secret room should count. So we're going to do that. I'll loop around this way. Doubling back does increase your stress, but it reduces the amount of torchlight that leaves. And I got a hunger proc. That's always fun. That's great. We love that. And here we have a rune battle, and these are 2 obstacles, so it's good that we brought 4 shovels. And battle. So these guys are actually one of my favorite enemies in this game, the Madmen. They are low damage but high stress, as you would imagine. So I try to take them out fairly quick, but they are one of my favorites as far as just creativity goes. As you can see, those are pretty nice stress ticks. Oh boy.
Weakened. Destroyed.
Nice. Well done, Dismas. One thing worth noting as well is if you damage an enemy to the point of death and you crit them, they will not leave a corpse, as opposed to if you do not crit them, they will simply crumple and leave a corpse. There are some enemy types that don't leave a corpse. I cannot offhand remember which ones they are, so we'll see. We are taking a good bit of stress from this first fight, which is always a bad sign, but what can we do?
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
And they are really going for that Vestal. Alright, so here we're going to have a Virtue proc. And she ended up Paranoid, which is obviously a bad
The
proc
walls
on
close
that.
in. The shadows whisper of conspiracy.
I don't remember what they do when they're paranoid, but that will be there until she leaves.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
And you'll notice that the stress still goes up. Basically, after they have the Virtue proc, if they then hit max stress again, they will have a heart
Continue
attack.
the
What that
onslaught.
does is take them down to 0
Destroy
HP.
them
If they have another heart
all.
attack after that, it is an insta-kill. So you really want to monitor stress when they get to higher amounts like that.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing
We're going to
passage.
bandage him. I'm not going to get rid of that on her, because because she doesn't need more stress. Ay, ay, ay. Why do you keep touching stuff, man? We'll probably camp here. So I'm going to go down across here and up. So I'll camp in one of these 2 rooms, grab that one, and then go all the way down. And then we should be done. If I did my maths correctly. That secret room really helps with avoiding 2 battles. So Iron Maiden, I believe you use herbs? Yes.
Glittering
So we got a
gold,
torch and
trinkets and baubles,
a shovel.
paid for in blood.
We did not scout over here, so I have no idea what we're walking to. A hunger proc, apparently. Ay, ay, ay.
Grievous injury, palpable fear. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
He's shooting arrows back and forth. It's great.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Missed because I was yawning. It's canon.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
I don't ever interact with books because it's always a bad time. It's actually a running joke with one of the streamers I watch who plays Darkest Dungeon, Bear Taffy, and he goes, ah yes, my arch nemesis, books. So,
Watch your step.
good fun times. Which he is definitely worth
A
checking
fortune
if you haven't.
waiting
Hilarious
to be
content
spent.
creator. And actually one of the reasons I got into Darkest Dungeon in the first place. Him and Talus, who I play with from time to time. Okay, so for here also you want to use a key. So here we have our first inventory management situation. Since we're in the ruins, we don't need anti-venom. I will toss those and take the crests instead. They're more valuable, especially early game. So we're going to go in here. This is a room battle with treasure. We'll come back out here. We'll camp and carry on through the rest of the dungeon, assuming we survive this. It's always assuming we survive.
And now, the true test. Hold
So a
fast.
Dust Door means I have
or
hit 0
expire.
HP. Next hit could kill them. They will have a Dust Door resist or failure if they get hit before I get a chance to heal them. Which is thoroughly possible.
Eradicated.
Okay. This is Good time to crit. Okay. Okay. So she made her proc. Which means she lives, which is good. Problem is now she has this debuff the rest of the map, or the rest of the dungeon. But, you know, it's not the worst. She could have died. It'd have been pretty early for a death, but it wouldn't be the earliest I've had. I've had people die on the old road. So...
Ghoulish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
So let's go dodge.
The light, the promise of safety.
So camping will refill our torchlight as well, so we don't need torches. We don't currently need blood. And I think we will be okay without any more holy water. And it was trash, of course it was. Of course it's a blight. Of course. Of course, of course, of course. Yeah. Everybody will be healed up in a minute. Don't worry. We'll do our little camp.
Huddled
Poor
together.
food.
Furtive and vulnerable.
She didn't want food because
Rats
she's
in
stressed.
a maze.
So what we do here is you get a amount of respite that you have to divide up between different character skills. One you will always want to do is to prevent a nighttime ambush. And then the rest are kind of just dependent on what type of situation you're in. For me, I want to get this lady stressed and heal her, so that's what we did. Then they all go to bed.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
Surprised and still can't hit a fucking broadside of a barn.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
Obliterated.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So that was her trigger from being paranoid. She acted on her own. It's a thing that happens anytime they have super high stress, which can really kind of fuck you over if you need to heal and your healer is stressed.
Decimated.
Cool. Cool. And she moved herself back where I needed her. Perfect.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
So when you do find the traps when you scout, they show up as purple spider webs. So we will get to see what happens when you have a chance to actually avoid catching one of those. So we have this, which is items.
Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
I forgot we had a trap right there. I even scouted it. I'm not smart. We'll do it on the next one. Okay, well, we were one room early. I just want to show off how to avoid a trap at the risk of a bit of stress. Okay. So when you get within range of a trap, the little purple icon shows up with a percentage. It is how likely a person is to disarm a trap. Since Dismas is our highest, we have to do it. He fails, still gets hit.
Mechanical hazards.
Cool. Now you know how
Possessed
that
by
works.
evil intent.
Nice. Always what I'm trying to
The
show
shifted
someone.
corridors and sloped walls of our ancestry are beginning to feel
Everybody
familiar.
got something. Precise striker, dud hitter, natural, scattering, impressible. Okay. So we got some stress we have to alleviate with these folks.
Though long
Which is
years
fine.
may
Hi,
seek
Chris.
to
How's it
separate
going?
them, action and consequence will invariably have their dreadful reunion.
He will be laughing still at the end.
You might grab that plague doctor. I don't really play with
What better
abominations
laboratory
too
than the
much.
blood-soaked battlefield? The bellows blast once again. The forge stands ready to make weapons of war.
This is for the guild, is
Make
where
no
you
mistake.
upgrade your skills or
We will
unlock
face
skills.
ever
So if
greater
you have
threats.
a skill on a character that
Our
you
soldiers
want,
must be
i.e.
ready.
myself with Dismas, I run a very specific build on him. I can now unlock those skills. I can also upgrade his skills, because he is somebody I run with on every dungeon. Excuse me. Same with Renaud. I will give him Holy Lance and upgrade a couple of his skills. We will unlock a couple skills for her. She has a stun that we like and a blight. We will upgrade these. And the Vestal, we will unlock her other attacks that we tend to use. Arbalist has a couple that we like to use, i.e. healing, which is good. And then the rest we're going to still just kind of tinker around with, and if people live long enough, we will upgrade their skills. Now we have unlocked the wield as well, so we will go there. Yeah, we'll go there. That's decent. We have to put her in stress relief as well as Renaud. So we'll put her here, and Renaud has to pray. Unfortunately, the caretaker is there praying, so we cannot give him stress relief. Dismas, however, we can. Now we have to redo her skills real quick. And we will redo his real quick. And we will redo hers real quick. I think we have the skills we want on her. There we go. Give her that, because we will take her because we don't have a healer currently because ours is stressed to shit. We will take... We'll take a Jester. They're pretty fun. We'll take a Leopard and we'll take Grave Robber. These folks are fun and it'll be a nice change. So we will give him that as that's all positives. And give him that because he's going to be in position 1. We will give her the damage boost and dodge. And everything else should be okay. It's a short dungeon, so we shouldn't need too much. The wield is going to be more blight focused, as opposed to the ruins, so you want to provision accordingly.
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
Sounds good. So this one is 100% of room battles. So we will have to check every room as long as we don't scout it to ensure that there are no room battles, since we have to defeat them all. And we got shuffled right away. Cool. Love that.
Masterfully executed.
Kick to the face is OP. Need to nerf it. slowly move him back to the front. I love it that was immediately after I said he'd be in the front the whole time. So that relieves stress. It is a nice move to have in high stress situations. I typically take a Jester on boss fights to make sure that I'm not too stressed to
As
handle
the
the
fiend
boss.
falls,
By the time I
a
get there.
faint hope blossoms.
Yes, push her back, please.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Confusion, nerves, and panic.
There we go. That's how you flub your way through it.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
The left luggage you'll want to use again.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
That was a good scout. Out of keys.
A fortune, waiting to be spent.
That's a good arbalist trinket. For this, you will use anti-venom. Grave robber. I just like the meme of it. You don't have to use a grave robber.
The light, the promise of safety.
Okay, so of course our last 3 rooms all have rune battles, so we have to do the entire dungeon. Figures. We'll do this one first. I completely forgot that trap. Thank God he dodged it.
Mortality clarified in a single strike. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Decimated. How quickly the tide turns.
And we're gonna go stress proc. Selfish. Cool. Cool.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
eradicated.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Back down. Cool. That was nice. That's a Shambler's altar. We do not have a party for a Shambler. I will show you a Shambler at a later time. Sorry for anybody who really wanted a Shambler fight 3 or 4 dungeons. But I am not the one.
Precision and power.
Obliterated.
Well, the only person that's super low myth or dodged, so there's that. You should be dead.
A death by inches.
Okay.
A devastating blow.
The blood quickens. A victory. Perhaps a turning point.
This is holy water. Stress relief, okay. Now that I remember that, we'll use it on the grave robber if we find out more. So journal pages don't do anything, they just provide lore. So this is the Blackest of Fates, page 5 out of 5. I will return with Cuthbert's banner and Boland's crossbow so as to honor them with a proper burial. I will leave what is left of the thrice-damned Mazir and his trinkets to the swine folk. Perhaps they will build him the memorial he rightly deserves. I don't bring lore items with me because they don't do anything. Obviously, if you have the inventory space, you're welcome to. If I recall either way, it's saved in your journal so you can reread them later. So she passed because she's frustrated. Understandable. I wish I could just not do something if I didn't want to. That'd be cool.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Right? Okay. Nice.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
There we go.
Ghoulish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
And this will be our last fight. We need to heal our leper. Hopefully we get a chance to. Okay, so we're gonna have bleeds and stress. We want to take out stress.
And now the true test. Hold fast or expire.
Moving him back for a moment actually doesn't hurt us as bad as it might seem.
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
Moving her does, though. That kind of sucks.
Another life wasted in the pursuit of glory.
So that's what happens when you fail a death save.
Perched
It's
at the
similar to
very
rolling a 1 in
precipice
D&D.
of oblivion.
Bleed ticks can do the same, by the way, so it is also possible to use our grave robber here.
Survival is a tenuous proposition in this sprawling tomb. The slow death, unforeseen.
We could still pull this out, though. It's a
Unforgiving.
kind of funny thing.
Annihilated.
Alright.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Return to Hamlet, because we got nothing.
The agents of pestilence will yet be driven from our woods.
We got nothing. Clotter, which is bleed resist and deadly, which is nice. Nervous bleeder is a little rough later on, but not so much of a worry right now.
She has paid dearly for her freedom, and deserves better than this place. Shifting, swaying, she mesmerizes her prey before the final strike.
So we'll sort by stress. Ronald, we still need to get in. Cool, at least we can get him in there. Now we have the Sanitarium as well, which is where we can get rid of quirks and diseases. So that's where we would take, like, for instance, if we wanted to get rid of Nervous Bleeder, we'd pay to do that, or to keep something. You can also pay to do that. So here we will take another leper.
This man understands
jester.
that
We'll take
adversity
everybody, to be honest.
and
We have the
existence
room.
are one and the same.
Chris, if you're listening, if you would like to choose a character to be named after, you are welcome to, since you are the only person viewing live right now. I definitely don't mind. I like the idea of naming characters after my viewers. I think it's a cute thing. But I also don't know if they moved you to calls, so you may not be able to answer right now, which is also okay. We have also opened up the Warrens and the Cove. So I really like this trinket. I don't have an occultist yet. I really like that trinket though. Hellion minus stress is good. Again, we don't have a Hellion, but minus stress is good. But I really like this one. So I think we're going to go to the ruins. We are going to try our luck there again. We will do a dancing party. And for those who don't know, a dancing party is a party that works no matter what order they're in. So if they get shuffled around, it doesn't affect them as poorly as if it were a party that has to be in a specific position, like the leper that we had who had to be in a specific position. These don't work for everybody, but I definitely enjoy playing them from time to time. We are going to have almost no money to run through this dungeon because we had that loss on the last one. So, this is going to be a lot of praying that my skill gets us there. So let's start feeling, we'll do that. And then that. And we have our trinkets. Jester having dodge is always good. Dismas having Dismas's head is also good for the memes. And we will head in. Let's go. Yep. We have enough food for 1 hunger proc. So hopefully that's all we get. Knowing my luck, it won't be, but we'll see.
The fiends must be driven back. And what better place to begin than the seat of our noble line?
If we're lucky, we will run into a curio that gives us food. Will we be lucky? I don't know. There's my boy. Jester is one of my favorite characters as well. I actually have a tattoo drawn up that I wanted to get of a Jester from this game. Obviously, I know Jesters aren't created by this game, but the design of the Jester in this game is what I'm looking at. Also, the torch logo. Okay. So here he has a move that moves him forward and gives him riposte. So what that is, it's either riposte or riposte. I always call it riposte. So when he is hit, he has a chance to hit that person as well. Her whole deal is moving around as well. So we're going to move her forward and attack. And we'll put some stress down, honestly, since we don't really need bleed in this fight because they're all skeletons and they cannot be bled very easily.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
And there you see the riposte. Goes for one or two rounds, I believe, instead of 1 or 2 attacks like it does in the second game. So he can withdraw or endure a total of
Executed with
attacks if all 4
impunity.
enemies are alive, which is kind of nice. There are a couple characters who get that option. It's just nice to kind of have them
Their
as a punching bag
formation
that
is
hits back.
broken. Maintain the offensive.
And then the reason I like having him in the front is because he also gets point blank shot.
Confidence surges
Hits
as the
really,
enemy
really hard
crumbles.
because obviously you think of it as a point blank with a flintlock pistol, it's gonna fuck you up.
Remind yourself that overconfidence
what to
is a
use here.
slow and insidious killer.
Okay. Noted. So there's a percentage to remove a negative quirk if you don't use any items on that statue. Why am I not seeing any of these
Mechanical
traps?
hazards possessed by
I
evil
am not
intent.
scouting for shit.
Another one falls.
So this is what I mean by dancing party, is you notice everybody's moving around, everybody's
Continue the
switching
onslaught.
spots.
Destroy them all.
Press this advantage.
And
Give
everybody's
them
back
no
where they're supposed to
quarter.
be. It's really nice that
This
you get
expedition at
surprised,
least promises
and
success.
it takes less turns to get everybody back where they're supposed to be if you have a dancing party, because they can attack and move themselves back to where they're supposed to be. Okay. Like in this situation, we'll be able to fix that no problem. There we go. Good dodge.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
Good. Stab. Good dodge.
Back to the pit.
Guard break is also really nice. It makes it so that specific enemies can't be guarded. Because some enemies, similar to your characters, have the option to guard another character. And a lot of the time what you'll do is you'll do that with your healer.
And purpose.
Or someone who's been injured and you need a second to circle back around to turn.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
And it's trapped again. Why is it always trapped? With any luck, this will be the only room battle. For the decorative urn, you use... Oh, is that the anti-venom one, or is it holy water? I think it's holy water. You can get gifts regardless, but I believe it's holy water to increase the amount of gifts. And here you can disarm a trap, which gives you some stress relief, and then obviously you just don't take damage. That one, I believe, yeah, is always a damage buff until camp.
In Radiance,
I may be
may we
incorrect,
find
though. Almost
victory.
everything here has a negative chance. So... Just got some really good dodge. Honestly, I didn't even think about it. Last thing we need is for Dismas to proc. Blue bandana. Ooh. Nice.
Unnerved, unbalanced.
Nice. Nice.
Another abomination, cleansed from our lands.
Okay. Disease resist minus dodge. We'll defer that just so we have room. Of course, again, the last room is my last fight. Every time. Alright. Alright, hallway battle. Okay. It does something that's not skeletons, which is kind of cool.
Be gone.
So you always want to
fiend.
take out the spiders first if you can in a situation like that, because they will stun you and blight you to death. They're not great. Oh, wait, that's not perfect round.
A hand's breadth from becoming unwound. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Damn. Maybe one of these will have food. And then we can heal up our boy.
As the light
Books.
gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
Oh, no food. More journal page. The Blackest of Fates 4 of 5. I now find myself back in the warrens among the remains of my companions. My wounds are too severe to allow the completion of my task. Thus, the desecration must resume another time. Curious, there is a ring in my pocket. Where it came from, I cannot begin to guess, though it bears the sigil of the estate's ancestral owner. Very curious. Okay, so since we're about to go into our last room, we know we are not going to get a food proc, so I am going to feed the Jester to get his health up over 0, just in case I don't get a chance to heal him before he gets hit. Good thing I did, because spiders suck. spider. And they went right for the jester. Nice. And we
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
Room by room, hall by hall, we reclaim what is ours.
Cool. Cool. Not too bad.
Awash in blood and delusion,
Boy.
he bears the burden of 1,000 lifetimes.
We have antiquarians we can pick from. I will go with this one.
She searches where
Flagellate.
others will not go, and sees what others will not see.
So cool.
At home in wild places, she is a stalwart survivor and a strict instructor.
Alright. So we got some money out of that, which is actually really nice. Let's see what we got for trinkets that I won't use. We can maybe sell some. Won't use that. Won't use that. Won't use that. I use this one. Won't use that. Won't use that. So cool, we got some money. And we have our first boss available, which is kind of nice, but we are not ready for the Necromancer Apprentice. I would like to have everybody at level 2 before we go in there. We have another chance at that trinket. Highwayman trinket. Houndmaster. Bounty Hunter, and Crusader. That one's not bad, and I can show you guys the Cove. So let me grab folks here. Bring our little Healy's back. Take her. And you know what? We'll bring my boy. We'll bring my boy. But the thing is, we have to get a attack on him that I use first. There we go. Okay. So for reference for the Flagellate, he is exactly what you would imagine. He is a man who whips himself. His attacks are very powerful, and he has 2 heals that are really, really worth grabbing. He has Exsanguinate, which is where he attacks somebody and heals himself. And then he has Redeem, where he heals himself. And if I recall, somebody else as well. So it's like he heals himself and the person he's trying to heal. So he is just quite useful to have if you have a need for something like that. And the Antiquarian is solely here to get us loot. She is essentially useless outside of getting loot, but she can loot things that other characters can't. The Cove, you're going to want Blight and Bleed. You're going to want shovels, you're going to want food, and a little bit of a prayer. Because the Cove kind of sucks, if I'm honest. It's not my favorite. It's aesthetically wonderful. I love the monsters. It's just really difficult.
These salt-soaked
which isn't a bad
caverns are
thing.
teeming with
It's just,
pelagic nightmares. They must be flushed out.
And it is definitely teeming with pelagic nightmares. This is at least a small area. Who's got the highest? Okay. Alright, so the fish, you want to use the herbs. You get food, and one of the things that she can collect that others can't is this minor antique here, which is worth its own amount of money. And more journal. The Blackest of Fates 205. In that same instant, we found ourselves in a place of suffocating dark, facing a creature that defies description and whose recollection causes my quill to jump and shudder. It is merciful, only fragments of our battle remain in my psyche. I see Cuthbert hacking at the quivering appendages of a monster. Ooh. I recall how a piece of its flesh slid off and of its own twisted accord sprang into Bolin, piercing her stout blade. The occultist, as if to offer himself as tribute, was torn apart by its writhing limbs. And we will toss that because we don't keep lore. I would rather have loot. And it appears we brought the antiquarian at a good time because we are running into a lot of treasure. That kind of
handsome
sucks.
reward
We got a chance at some
for a
other
task
stuff
well
there.
performed.
All good. Disarming traps are a day. This is a room battle quest again, so that will be a lot. Alright. So similarly to the lady cultist, he is a stressful boy. He brings a lot of stress to the table. This one can stun, and the other two are bleed and just damage. They're just cannon fodder, as it were. That's fine. She's useless. Still dodge. He's also a healer. Forgot. Good.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Her death by inches.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
I don't use Dark Bracer, so I'm not too worried about taking it. It doesn't have a lot of loot, like, value.
Packs laden with
Here is
loot
the other item that
are
she can
often
loot
low on
herself that no
supplies.
one else can. Get rid of that because we already have that trinket.
The match is struck.
Later
A
on, it's
blazing
nice to have more
star
than
is
one copy of
born.
each trinket. Early on, it doesn't matter too much unless, you know, you lose a trinket, but... We'll go down first and then we will go up. The barnacle chests you use shelling for.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of
Maybe another fish.
otherworldly
Monsters.
corruption.
One thing I desperately miss about Darkest Dungeon 2 is that you get 5 moves instead of the 4. Wow. Quad dodge.
disadvantage. Give them no quarter. The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
There we go. We do love a good crit heal. And she actually landed a staff. That was nice too.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
She also increases gold stacking. I forgot about that. Almost entirely. It's easy to forget. Also, when he
As
hits
life
0 HP, he
ebbs,
gives a small heal to everyone
Terrible
else in the
vistas
party.
of emptiness reveal themselves.
Basically, the Flagellate brought a lot of reasons to keep people on death's door. There are people who play him very well as a Death's Door character. I tend to not take the risk because I am a pussy.
The light,
But it is
the promise
possible.
of
I've seen
safety.
people pull it off. Don't know how they do it.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. And now the true test. Hold fast, or expire. Great is the weapon that cuts on its own. This expedition at least promises success.
A fortune, waiting to be spent.
The
Here we have a
twisted faces
collector.
of the damned,
I was
piled
curious
high
if we would
and
run into
cloaked
him.
in malice.
He shows up after your inventory is a set amount of full, and is a rare wandering mini-boss.
unbalanced.
Survival is a tenuous proposition
Okay.
in this sprawling tomb. The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow
Stun
it.
on death. Eventually he won't resist it, and that's what we're waiting for.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
A hand's breadth from becoming unwound.
Risked it.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice.
Worth it.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
I'm gonna try.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Journal of Darius, Highwayman. 2 out of 6. Day 4. The road to this damn hamlet was a tricky one both to find and to travel. When it revealed its ruined face, I swore I had never seen such neglect. Some buildings collapsed. I had carried residents fidgeting uselessly. I went swiftly to the tavern. Others with similar interests had gathered there, and I was assembled into an expedition. We leave at first light on the morrow. Alright. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this battle.
Confusion, nerves, and panic. Weakened.
Teetering on the brink, facing the abyss.
Okay.
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion.
She's determined to live. That's fine. We're getting kind of lucky because that fish can't do anything from that position.
Patched up. If only to bleed again.
I mean, yes. She's gonna get a stress proc. Okay.
Frustration and fury. More destructive than 100 cannons.
Now I think I can attack, yep. I was hoping to kill him before he moved on, but not much to be done about it.
More blood soaks the soil, feeding the evil therein.
Okay. Alright. Another journal page.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Blood-soaked pages torn from a journal, page 6 of 6. I cannot recall why we ventured onto land. Why did we leave when Mother Ocean provided us all we needed beneath her tender waves? I will now return home, back to her embrace. Indecipherable scratchings fill the remainder of the page. And we finished our quest.
At last, wholesome marine life can flourish.
Sometimes everybody with someone needs
If
to die.
indeed there is such a thing.
Cleared up my roster pretty good. At least I have space.
A fresh irritant to some. A sanguine memory to me.
Bounty hunter. This one seems better.
The thrill of the
What's
hunt,
this? Hound master.
the promise
Cool.
of payment.
Cool. Alright, so we have you at level 2, so we need to upgrade your weapon. Nobody else is level 2 yet. We need to get her into some stress relief because, my god, she's gonna lose her mind. So we need to get some other folks to level 2, so we can't take Dismas for this one. We can go to the Warrens, I think. That should be alright. Hi, Erwin. Arwen. What are you doing? Nope. Every time. Alright. Alright. To the Warrens. So some characters, like the Houndmaster here, who has his little doggo, we will do this one. bring their own special items, like the dog treats. So what it does is it increases the hound's attack for a while, or increases his attack for a while, which is quite useful, especially for boss fights. I don't tend to use them super often, and they're one of the first things to go when I have to purge inventory, but they can be quite useful.
They breed quickly down there in the dark, but perhaps we can slay them even faster.
Nice. Nice. Didn't even give me a chance to react to it. Now he has toughness. Good job, man.
The match is struck. A blazing star is born.
Okay, I believe it is holy water.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of otherworldly corruption.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Nice.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
More journal. A blood-soaked page torn from a journal, 2 out of 6. My fears are confirmed. With our torch doused by an errant spray of seawater, we were ambushed. Strange fish-like humanoids ambushed us in the sudden darkness. The pitch of the torch caught quickly, and I glimpsed scaly appendages swinging crude weapons, glistening and barbed. They didn't last long with our torch rekindled. Alas, one bit me on the neck before I gutted it. The wound stings and tingles strangely. Our psychic told me to keep it clean and covered. Oh, good. So the running joke with the leper is that he has absolutely garbage accuracy. Doesn't matter how much you level him up, what fucking trinkets you give him, he just got garbage accuracy. Like when he hits like a truck, but the odds of him hitting are low. Garbage.
How quickly the tide turns.
The tide didn't turn at all.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Dazed, reeling, about to break.
a slow death. Unforeseen. Unforgiving.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
For the table, use herbs. Usually gives you at least a full stack of food, which is nice. It's also why we bring less food to this area. For Pete's sake.
Mechanical hazards, possessed by evil intent.
A dizzying blow to body and brain.
Ooh.
And now, the true test. Hold fast, or expire.
Slowly,
There we go.
gently. This is how a life is taken.
There we go.
Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice. These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Carelessness will find no clemency in this place.
Here, I believe it's bandages. I don't have any, so. Oh, got a sanity check. Okay.
The walls close in. The shadows whisper of conspiracy. As life ebbs, terrible vistas of emptiness reveal themselves. Destroyed.
There we go.
The ground quakes.
A death by inches.
Obliterated. A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Oh, he's trapped. go to this last room. Cool.
A hand's breadth from becoming unwound.
Sanity check. 2 paranoid people is always a good thing. You do be determined to stay alive. Nobody can fault him for that one.
Foolish horrors. Brought low and driven into the mud.
Another journal page. Journal of Darius, Highwayman, 5 out of 6. Day 8. Moira has officially been afflicted with sickness. It must have been some rotting air from the coffin she insisted on piercing with her spade. As terrible as this place is, I know I will not fall for any trap or crazed idiot. I wager my lucky coin on it. That motherfucker. That.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength
Hey,
to
we
follow
survived
it.
through a dungeon with everybody.
Some experiments should have never happened. You are doing just work ending them.
Nice. Nice. Steady's actually pretty solid.
A fresh irritant to some. A sanguine memory to me.
So here it's trying to push us into the Crimson Court. By making stress activities less helpful. But I am not dumb, and I know what waits for me should I go that route. I don't feel like dying. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Barbaric rage and unrelenting savagery make for a powerful ally.
Want a bigger roster because I'm a baby.
To those with a keen eye, gold gleams like a dagger's point.
We need to get 8. And then we need 8. Cool.
Fan the flames, mold the metal. We are raising an army.
You sure are, buddy. So Dismas is OP now. We might actually almost be ready to go against the Necromancer. Almost. Oh, that's such a good trinket too. The problem is that it's always going to be an almost. Let's go to the Wield. We'll take you. You're good against the Necromancer. So we'll level you up. You. I need a healer. Both my healers are fucked. Well, one's dead and the other one's fucked. I could take you. You two can dance, and you can heal a little bit. Okay. Alright, let's fucking go. And then we'll probably do, if we can get everybody to level 2, or at least 2 or 3 characters to level 2 that we would take with us to the Necromancer, I will try to do that and then call stream after that. But I do want to try to
I
get
knew
to
all
at least
these
the
paths
Necromancer
once.
first.
Now they are as twisted as my own
So
ambitions.
I have a good bit to edit down. We're not touching that. Sorry. We're not doing it.
Be gone, fiend. Executed with impunity.
So tetanus. That's the other one.
Back to the
right.
pit. A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless. If only treasure could staunch the flow of otherworldly corruption.
Journal. Journal of Darius, Highwayman, 6 out of 6. My end. I scrawl this, victim of cruel fortune, who took me upon my wager, for I have lost my lucky coin, and I now lie helpless as my blood flows swiftly from my ruined body. My fingers are cold. It was no trap, nor raving cultist that sealed my fate. We were ambushed by strange undulating shapes, 2 small entities that I cannot hope to describe, and a third, much larger beast. Poor Moira was crushed into a pulp as Therion defended her. He soon lost his arm, and his wits left him. Shambler, Shambler, he kept shrieking as Raven yanked him to flee. I tried to play hero to buy them a few minutes. Blew away one of the smaller monsters, last shot, then smashed into the wall. The big one, maybe they made it out.
The light.
They
the
didn't
promise
make
of
it out.
safety.
Nobody did. Nobody makes it out of here. Spoiler alert.
The match is struck. A blazing
Heroin.
star is born.
Oh, cool. You can see some other fun boys. Nice, double stun. Hi, Arwen. Arwen, please.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. As As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. A fortune, waiting to be spent.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
Put in my food order really quick. Food's ready, Cole. Go bother your dad, Arwen. There you go.
Nature herself, a victim
I can't
to
do
the
anything right
spreading
now. I'm
corruption,
busy.
malformed with misintent.
She wants her what?
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Journal page. Oh, we already read that one. Even better.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
Hi, Arwen.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Great is the weapon that cuts on its own. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Arwen. It's not that time yet, bud.
A handsome
No.
reward for a task well performed.
And we'll return to Hamlet.
Every cleared
'Cause we
path
deserve
and
one that
charted
actually
route
goes kinda
reduces the
smoothly.
isolation of our troubled estate. A fresh irritant to some, a sanguine memory to me. There is power in the blood for those with the fortitude to pay the price.
You know, I feel like we might be able to make this work at level 1. If we take business, if we take her. Take Renaud. Maybe take him. Arwen. Stop. We're gonna go for it. This. Forward. Cool. And those 4. All right.
Mastery over life and death was chief among my early pursuits. I began in humility, but my ambition was limitless. Who could have divined the prophetic import of something as unremarkable as a twitch in the leg of a dead rat? A devil walks these halls. Only the mad or the desperate go in search of him.
Okay, so something worth noting with boss fights, they are always spawn in the same spot. And by that I don't mean the same exact tile, but they spawn in the furthest tile away from you. So with where we're at, it's going to be this bottom left area. So we're going to have to go up and around. And so what we'll do is we'll camp in the room before him. Because that means we will be able to buff
Finding the
ourselves
stuff is only the
before
first test.
a big fight,
Now it must be
which is
carried
always
home.
ideal. Our main goal is to not run into a collector this time. Obviously it's random, so we might, but that is kind of the goal, is to not run into one.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Exposed to a killing blow. Another abomination cleansed from our lands. Destroyed. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's
Another one
end.
where you use the key.
Back to the pit.
Arwen. Okay, you need a knot.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Cool.
As victories mount, so too will resistance. Even the cold
I hear ya.
stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Nice, a secret room.
Begone, fiend! Another one falls. A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
We do level 100% trap disarm. Kind of sucks that we ran into that now, because that is a dungeon long until rest, I think. Yeah. So he will lose that buff, but it's not the worst that could happen. I use herbs here.
Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies. Annihilated. Obliterated.
Double miss, alright.
Continue the
Won't miss
onslaught.
that.
Destroy them all. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Okay. Nice.
The light, the promise of safety.
Okay.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
Okay.
Executed with impunity.
Okay.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of the light?
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
I will always prioritize loot over miscellaneous shit. Just on principle. We have one curio there, but we are also going to be getting rid of our campfire. Max
Gathered
food.
close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
Night ambush. Alright. Heading to the box. It's just a torch curio, so that works out well.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Cool.
Such a burden of finery risks life and limb.
Yay.
Towering, fierce, terrible. Nightmare-made material.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
The ground
go.
quakes.
Yeah? Here we go.
Even reanimated bones can fall. Even the dead can die again.
And we will not be out or overstaying our welcome, because that went smoothly, and I want to leave it that way.